Three women entered a house on a warm June night in 1992. None of them ever came out. No screams pierced the quiet Missouri darkness. No neighbors saw anything unusual. No signs of struggle marked the walls or floors. When morning came, the house stood silent and undisturbed. Beds slept in, purses lined up by the door, cars parked outside. Everything looked normal. Everything felt wrong. 32 years later, no one knows what happened inside 1717 East Delmar Street. No bodies have been found. No confessions have been made. No evidence has surfaced to explain how three people simply ceased to exist between sunset and sunrise. The case remains one of the most baffling disappearances in American history, a mystery so complete that even the questions seem to have no answers. This is the story of the Springfield Three. Stacy McCall was 18 years old and glowing. On June 6, 1992, she graduated from Kickapoo High School in Springfield, Missouri, alongside her best friend, Suzie Streeter. The two girls were inseparable, bright, popular, full of plans. Stacy had been accepted to Missouri State University. Suzie, 19 and beautiful, with long dark hair and an infectious laugh, was already thinking about her future. They'd spent 4 years navigating high school together, and now they were ready to celebrate. The graduation ceremony ended in the late afternoon. Families took photos. Friends made plans. Stacy and Suzie decided to attend multiple parties that night, bouncing between celebrations across Springfield. They wanted to soak in every moment of their last night as high school seniors. At home on East Delmar Street, Sherrill Levitt waited. At 47, Sherrill was a hairdresser who ran a small business out of her home. Divorced and independent, she was close with her daughter. She'd been proud watching Suzie walk across that stage. That evening, she stayed home while the girls went out, expecting them to return late or possibly crash at friend's house, as they'd planned. Everything was normal. Everything was safe. By midnight, that would no longer be true. Stacy and Suzie's original plan was simple. After the parties, they'd spend the night at another friend's house in Battlefield, a nearby suburb, then head to Whitewater Theme Park the next morning. But as the night wore on and the celebrations multiplied, plans shifted. Around 2 a.m., they decided to return to Sherrill's house instead. It was closer, more convenient. They'd sleep a few hours, then leave for the water park in the morning. They drove Suzie's Chevy Corsica through the empty streets of Springfield, pulling into the driveway of the modest single-story ranch house. Sherrill's Chevy Corsica was already there. The porch light was on. They let themselves in quietly, trying not to wake Sherrill. Stacy called her mother from inside the house to let her know about the change of plans. Her mother, Janice McCall, was relieved to hear her daughter's voice. Stacy sounded happy, tired, ready for sleep. She said goodnight around 2:15 a.m. It was the last time anyone heard from her. At 9 a.m. on June 7th, friends arrived at 1717 East Delmar Street, ready to pick up Stacy and Suzie for the trip to Whitewater. They knocked. No answer. They knocked again. Still nothing. The front door was unlocked. They stepped inside, calling out names. Silence greeted them. The house felt still, not abandoned, but paused, as if someone had pressed a button and frozen everything mid-motion. In the living room, purses sat lined up neatly. Wallets, keys, and identification were inside. Stacy's and Suzie's cigarettes were there. Their cars were in the driveway, but the women were gone. The friends walked through the house, confusion mounting. In Suzie's room, the bed was unmade, slept in. In Sherrill's room, the same. The bathroom showed signs of recent use. Clothing was laid out. Everything suggested the women had been there just hours before,
settling in for the night, preparing for sleep. Then the friends noticed the strange details. Outside, the globe covering the porch light was shattered, broken glass scattered across the concrete, yet the light itself still worked. Inside, the family dog, a small yappy Yorkshire Terrier, was running loose, agitated. Sherrill always kept the dog contained. And there was something else. The friend who'd come to pick up the girls noticed the blinds in the living room were pulled in an unusual way, as if someone had been looking out. But the most unsettling detail came when one of the friends checked the answering machine. There was a message, a voice, obscene and disturbing, saying crude sexual things. It didn't seem connected to anything. It didn't make sense. In confusion and discomfort, one of the friends deleted it. That decision may have erased the only clue.
By late morning, Stacy McCall arrived at the house, worried about her daughter. When she saw the scene, the cars, the purses, the unlocked door, panic set in. She called the police, but crucial time had already been lost. Before authorities arrived, friends and family had walked through the house, touching surfaces, moving objects, trying to piece together what happened. Fingerprints were obscured. Evidence was contaminated. The crime scene, if it was a crime scene, had been compromised. When Springfield police finally arrived, they found no signs of forced entry, no blood, no evidence of a struggle. The house was meticulously ordinary, except for the absence of the 3 women who should have been there. Officers initially treated it as a missing persons case, not a crime. Perhaps the women had left voluntarily, perhaps they'd return. But as hours turned into days, that possibility evaporated. The Springfield Police Department launched a full investigation. They searched the house top to bottom. They combed the neighborhood. They interviewed friends, family, acquaintances. They reviewed phone records and financial transactions. They found nothing. No one had seen anything suspicious that night. No vehicles were noticed leaving the area. No screams or disturbances had been reported. The neighborhood had been quiet. Detectives focused on the broken porch light. The shattered globe suggested someone had struck it, possibly to create darkness, possibly during a struggle. But no blood or tissue was found on the fragments. No fingerprints. It was a clue that led nowhere. The mysterious voicemail haunted investigators. Who had left it? Was it connected to the disappearance or just a random sick prank? Without the recording, deleted before police arrived, they'd never know. Sherrill's ex-husband was questioned extensively. He had an alibi. Friends and boyfriends were scrutinized. Nothing connected them to the disappearance. Tips poured in from the public, sightings of the women in other states, theories about runaways, claims of occult involvement. Every lead was pursued. Every lead went cold. The theories that haunt Springfield. Over the years, multiple theories emerged, each more disturbing than the last. The stranger abduction theory suggested that an unknown intruder or multiple intruders entered the house in the early morning hours, controlling all 3 women through threat or force and removing them without commotion. But how? How do you silence 3 people, including a protective mother, without violence or noise? How do you transport them away unseen? The known suspect theory centered on men with criminal histories who lived in the area. One name surfaced repeatedly, a local man with a history of violence against women who'd been seen near the house. He was questioned. He denied involvement. Without evidence, police couldn't act. Another suspect emerged years later, a man convicted of murdering another woman in a similar time frame. Before his death in prison, he allegedly made cryptic comments about the Springfield 3, but nothing concrete enough to confirm or deny. The construction site theory became one of the most persistent. Shortly after the disappearance, a new hospital parking garage was being constructed in Springfield. Rumors spread that the women's bodies had been buried in the concrete foundation. The theory gained enough traction that in 2007, advocates pushed for ground-penetrating radar testing at the site. The scans showed anomalies beneath the concrete, possibly human-sized, but the hospital refused to allow excavation. The cost, the disruption, the uncertainty, it was too much. The parking garage still stands. If the women are there, they remain entombed beneath it. The organized crime theory suggested the disappearance was connected to drug trafficking networks operating in southwest Missouri in the early 1990s. Perhaps Sherrill or one of the girls had unwittingly witnessed something, knew someone, or been in the wrong place. But no evidence supported this either. Every theory arrived at the same frustrating conclusion: no proof, no answers, no resolution. How do 3 people vanish from a locked house without a trace? How do you control 3 individuals, 2 young, strong women and a protective mother, without causing a disturbance loud enough to wake neighbors? Why were their belongings left behind? Purses, money, cigarettes, keys. Why take the women, but leave everything that could identify or sustain them? Why was there no sign of struggle? No overturned furniture, no defensive wounds, no blood? How did the perpetrator or perpetrators know the women would be at that house? Stacy and Suzie's last-minute decision to stay there wasn't planned, it was spontaneous. Yet someone was there, waiting or arriving at precisely the right moment. And the broken porch light, accident or intention? These questions hang in the air like smoke, impossible to grasp. Janice McCall has spent 32 years searching for her daughter. She's chased tips across state lines, appeared on national television, pleaded for answers. Every birthday, every holiday, every June 7th is a reminder of what was stolen. Sherrill's mother, also named Sherrill, passed away without ever knowing what happened to her daughter and granddaughter. The grief hollowed out families, friendships, and entire community. In Springfield, the case is never forgotten. Billboards still appear. Anniversaries bring renewed media attention. But as years pass, memories fade, witnesses die, and evidence, if it ever existed, disappears into time. The Springfield 3 are frozen in 1992, forever young, forever missing. What happened inside 1717 East Delmar Street in those dark hours between 2:30 and 9 a.m. may never be known. The house has since been sold, remodeled, lived in by other families. The porch light has been replaced. Life has moved on. But somewhere, in an unmarked grave, beneath concrete, in the memory of someone who's never spoken, the truth exists. 3 women went to sleep in a house that should have been safe. By morning, they had become ghosts. No one heard them leave, no one saw them go, and in the 32 years since, no one has found a single trace of where they went or whether they're still somewhere, waiting to be found.